It is the most popular weed killer on the planet because it works.
Glyphosate is applied to weeds. Once absorbed, it travels to the roots.
One spray and weeds are toast. The active ingredient, glyphosate, is deadly to plants.
Effective and proven.
Monsanto, the leading producer of Roundup, makes billions of dollars a year on their revolutionary biochemical.
It is the safest herbicide known to agriculture. There's been 40 years of safe use of glyphosate, not just in the United States, but throughout the world.
The older ones are down lower in the canopy.
Farmers use Roundup to control weeds in their fields. Today, the majority of American growers plant Roundup-resistant crops, so they spray the whole field. The Roundup only kills the weeds.
We have GPS technologies built into our sprayer that prevent overlap, that automatically shut off when we enter areas we've already sprayed.
Matt Muller owns Martha Valley Farms near Altus, Oklahoma. I'm at Martha Valley Farms in western Oklahoma. There's about 80 acres of cotton here, but you know what you won't find? Weeds. Look a little closer. You see, they've been spraying Roundup on their crops since the mid-90s. Roundup has changed the way American farmers grow their crops. You see, because of Roundup, there are no weeds. And because there are no weeds, farmers no longer have to till their land. No-till farming conserves moisture in the soil, prevents rainwater runoff, and reduces the carbon footprint of the farm.
Using products such as Roundup have been a great tool in allowing us to be more environmentally responsible at controlling weeds and not plowing our soil like we used to.
Roundup is the most widely used herbicide on the planet, and it's in our food. Lab tests showed trace amounts of glyphosate in many processed foods made with Roundup-resistant grains.
If you go test your cereal, your Cheerios, glyphosate, which is the active ingredient of Roundup, is in that. Pop-Tarts, anything that's a food substance, you now have glyphosate that is in that product.
According to a class action lawsuit filed recently, an arm of the World Health Organization labeled glyphosate a probable carcinogen. That is, it may cause cancer.
It's this simple. Glyphosate is a chemical. It's absorbed into the plant. If you wouldn't put it in a glass and drink it, then you probably don't want it in your food eating it. You have to look at what the science says. And the science is starting to trend towards this is not something that you want in your food if you're wanting to be healthy.
Now some farmers and many everyday gardeners are concerned Roundup could be killing them.
Because I use it probably more than anybody.
Leonard Samuel ran a landscaping company in the 90s. He never suspected Roundup could be harmful to his health.
You can't smell it, and if a little bit splash on you don't feel it bothering your skin and things, so you don't think nothing of it. You just come in and wash off. I mean, there's nothing like you said, woo, I might have to pay for this lady.
He has cancer now, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he blames Roundup. Francine Lyle has chronic lymphoma leukemia diagnosed last year. Her own doctor suggested a connection between her cancer and overexposure to herbicides and pesticides.
A little light went on in my head because I grew up in a farming community. I worked at a plant for 3 years in West Virginia that produced the chemicals for Roundup, actually, for Monsanto.
Lyle started treatment earlier this year. She joined the class action lawsuit against Monsanto Roundup.
I began to feel a little bit angry, and then I began to realize that where all this came from. And, if you'd have known that it could actually have this potential, you would have protected yourself a lot better. I just want people not to have to go through this. I want the company to be held accountable.
Francine eats all organic food now. She wants more protection for consumers, more warnings on those bottles of Roundup.
I want them to be warned. I want them to go out there and read that label and think, you think lots of times, oh, it happens to everybody else, it doesn't happen to me. Yeah, I thought that too, but it did, it happened to me, and if I had known, I would not have used Roundup. I would stop and think before I picked up that jug to use it on my yard. Is that weed really worth it?
Whether you battle weeds at your home or in your fields,
Monsanto isn't giving an inch, defending Roundup in court and in the court of public opinion. They are locked and loaded with their own expert research, showing Roundup is harmless, less toxic than table salt.
There are over 700 medical, scientific, actual tests that have studied glyphosate, not one of which has found it to be a cancer-causing agent.
There are about 1,000 farmers who are suing Monsanto, but most of the agricultural community is siding with the company.
I really feel like the Mountain Dews I drink are causing me more health issues than being around glyphosate. I mean, honestly. And the American population should be more concerned about sugar and soda pops than they about glyphosate.
Matt Muller lives in these fields. He's raised his family in the flight path of the crop dusters. And he is skeptical about a battle waged between lawyers and multinational companies.
And if we continue to allow emotion and perceptions and innuendos to drive our farming practices, this country will wake up very hungry someday.
Roundup sales have been growing like a weed since the 1970s, but a fresh crop of criticism may choke out Monsanto's grip on the global market, especially if this class action lawsuit puts down roots. Allie Meyer, Oklahoma's News 4.